Hi guys. So I wanted to talk about the weight gain issue. And I've actually tried to do this once before, but it's a bit complex. And so just know that this is probably the beginning of a conversation and not the entire conversation. But I have a number of friends who have come up to me and have talked about their frustration with the fact that now that they're in this transitional time between their regular cycling years, they're entering perimenopause and coming into menopause, and they're having a really hard time controlling their weight. And they haven't changed anything. So that's very frustrating, and I'm sure some of you can identify with this. But just because you haven't changed your behavior, your body is changing. And so we might need to adapt to accommodate for what's going on. So oftentimes, or always actually, in that transitional period, our hormones, our sex hormones start dropping, right? So both our progesterone and our estrogen go down, and even our testosterone. But they don't always drop symmetrically or in a balanced way. You can sometimes get the progesterone leading and like the estrogen lagging, which can put you in this estrogen dominant state. An estrogen dominant state is not it's not exclusive to the perimenopausal menopausal years. You could be estrogen dominant, and that could be why your PMS was so bad for years, right? With cramping and breast tenderness and irritability and bloating and holding on to a lot of water. But this same estrogen dominance, if you had it before, could be carried on, or it could be something that presents itself now that you're in that transitional time. What happens is that because of that imbalance, you can end up with all of these changes, including difficulty managing now your blood sugar. So what you were eating before may not be appropriate for you anymore because you're having a harder time regulating your ability to utilize your blood sugar. And when you have excessive sugar in your blood and you don't know what to do with it, it's going to get stored as visceral fat. It's going to get stored as that belly fat. Unfortunately, belly fat can perpetuate estrogen dominance because that visceral fat also is a hormone generating place, right? Especially after menopause, a lot of your estrogen is coming from your fat. So we can get in this cycle. So you want to look at your diet and you want to make sure that you are kind of cutting back on some of those easy access, fast acting carbohydrates like your sugars, your flours, breads. It's okay to have the complex carbs, maybe even avoiding some of those more starchy vegetables so you're not getting these big blood sugar rushes that you can't control. What you do want to add is a lot of fiber and protein. So even in your first meal of the day, you want to have go far forward with your protein and your fiber, and maybe even get some vegetables in there. So not having your pancakes, not having your frappuccino, and not having a bagel, because that's all just, it's not going to work for you anymore. So we have that. Then what you also want to think about is, are you exercising appropriately to help you manage your blood sugars? So if you haven't been keeping an exercise schedule, now is the time that you might want to start doing some weight training or get in those 30 minutes of cardio at least a few times a week to help you manage it so that you're burning off some of that excessive blood sugar. You want to be careful, though, that you don't end up doing something that's going to push you into a high cortisol level. So HIIT training can be great, but if you're already stressed out, then doing like super intense workouts where you're getting that heart rate up and you're feeling anxious, that high cortisol level, so a lot of stress, being in fight and flight all the time, can also whack out those hormones. So you might want to do yoga, meditation, and your weight training and some cardio to balance you out there with your exercise. Another great thing to make sure you're including is fiber. Fiber is going to help absorb and detox some of that excessive estrogen. Flaxseed is a great hormone regulator. I've just started adding it into my smoothies, or I have it on vegetables, or sometimes if I have oatmeal. But if I'm having oatmeal, I'm trying to make sure I also put some nut butter in so I get that protein in, or stir in an egg so I'm getting the protein in with it. I know I'm going fast, but I was like, there's a lot to talk about. Also, you want to check on how much alcohol you're drinking. I've talked about it before, but alcohol, too much of it, can create hormone imbalance. Actually, sugar and caffeine, all of them. Also, you want to check your animal product, including dairy, because there's a lot of hormones pumped into them, and you may have been able to handle it before, but now you're dysregulated, you might not be able to handle it. So you could do a nice, good cleanse, take out some of these aggravators, do it for a couple months, see how you feel, see if it's getting you back on track. So we talked about that. Be careful also with, I know I've talked about this, but there are these xenoestrogens in a lot of things, in the pesticides, in the foods that you eat, in some of your face products, and you don't want to be having these hormone mimicking chemicals now, estrogen mimicking in particular, loading up in your body when you're in an imbalance and you can't detox. Speaking of detox, I said flaxseed, also cruciferous vegetables are going to be helpful. So I've given you like a quick almost word vomit on that to get you thinking. There are certainly supplements you could take that would help. There are also herbs, botanicals that you could take to help with that, and you could go for a deeper dive with some testing if you want. But I'm going to leave it at that for this particular video. And again, like I said, this is a perspective. It's not all the ways or all the things, because it's complex. So talk to you soon. Hope it helps. Send me a message back or reach out if you want to talk more or have questions.